Welcome back, Tribe. I have an episode here on what I think about the USA after a month in Italy by Madison.
This is America, land of freedom, opportunity, and mass consumption. And this is Italy, land of pasta, pizza, and the lost art of the siesta. You're probably thinking by the title of this video that I don't like America anymore and I want to move to Italy, but I actually love my life in the US. However, there are things about American culture that don't seem to be serving us well. What do they know about a rich, fulfilling, contented life that we don't? The first impression I had was just the unmistakable slower pace of life. You guys, people literally close down for 2 hours in the middle of a perfectly good workday to eat and rest. Okay, so I think this is the perfect example of this. So for me as an American, in my mind, if you're going somewhere for a month, you should try to see as much of that place as you can possibly see. Literally do as much as you can do, even on vacation. And I think this has become pervasive for us in our culture. The endless options, whether it's brands at the grocery store or extra hours of work you could take on, we're just steeped in a culture that wants to cram it all in.
Yeah, actually, something I noticed when I was in Dubai and I just came back is how much slower Eastern Europe is in general, even the capital, the way it's built. Car culture isn't the main form of transportation here. In America and Dubai, it's exactly the same. You have interstates intertwined through cities, the most moronic way to build possible. Of course, an American thinks of it. It blows my mind, dude. How to maximize the need for vehicles and the consumption of vehicles. So Dubai was built in the same exact manner. They have the interstate highway with 6-7 lanes on each side winding through the city, man. It's so annoying. I can't stand it. First, the traffic. It never stops because the interstate always has traffic on it because people always have to come and go from wherever they're commuting to, either to work or from work. In big cities, the honking, the traffic noise from cars speeding on the interstate is non-stop, man. That shit keeps you up. I don't care how good your apartment is and how thick the glass is. I had some like half-foot thick glass. You can still hear it. The light pollution drives you crazy. In Eastern Europe, it's not the same. I stay in a place where I am not too far from the main road, and the main road is 2 lanes. One way north, one way south. That's it. And the largest one I've seen here was like a 2-laner. 2 going one direction, 2 back. And they don't use that many stoplights here. It's mainly roundabouts. Roundabouts are everywhere. People are trusted to drive, not like morons, and navigate through roundabouts. It makes traffic much more manageable. If I could compare traffic in Bucharest to other parts I've been to, Dubai at peak is 10 times worse. LA is 1,000 times worse. Phoenix is like meh. Phoenix is about probably a little less bad than Bucharest, but they're lucky over there in Phoenix. They haven't been taken over by Californians just yet. But in general, the walkability of a city gets absolutely destroyed. I actually go to cafe shops. I actually sit down and eat. I actually can watch people walk and cafe hop and restaurant hop, bar hop, food, small mom and pop stores. It's incredible. The walking experience is great. You go to a place like Dubai or America, the walking experience gets absolutely destroyed. If you don't have a car, it's not even possible, honestly. It's a nightmare. There's nothing around you. And when you do go sit down to eat at a cafe or something, you're off the side of the road where cars are allowed to do like 40 miles an hour. What's the point? You don't notice how bad it is until you actually leave the United States and your jaw hits the floor on what a city's supposed to be built like, with pedestrians in mind, the people that actually live there in mind, not the people commuting just to go to work and then scurry back into their suburban households. The people, the city dwellers, it's not built for them.
See her? There she goes.
So, ironically, at the beginning of our trip, we all got the flu. And it was terrible. But thank goodness. I'm just so glad that we stayed longer in 2 places rather than hopping around to 5 or 6. I actually got to know people in this town and experience the everyday culture rather than just seeing as much of Italy as I could see. In America, we're told as children, I think with loving intentions, to work hard and hustle off the field and start thinking about what we want to be when we grow up. And with that comes this undercurrent of more is better mentality, whether that's career opportunities or brands of pasta sauce to pick from or coffee shops or menu items. We really want to have all the opportunities in the world available to us to pick from. But the older I get, the less it seems that do anything I want, have everything I want, and be the best, whether that's of your high school class or your career field. Not that it's wrong, it just doesn't really have anything to do with a rich, contented life. But this place is rich, and its food is famous, as are its people for not being in a rush. So we're in Liguria, and Liguria is right between Tuscany and France.
Okay, maybe not as good as the gelato, but the fact that it's close.
Hey Mama, I just ate right here, and then I saw the inside.
The part of Liguria that borders the sea is the Italian Riviera. Ligurian food is known for being low cost, but high value. Locals call it intelligent food. Food born of necessity, but made delicious with skill. Pesto, focaccia, and grapes that make sweet, sparkly white wine were born here, and they're very proud. When you talk to any Italian, there's no describing slow Italian life without first understanding the land and the food. Which leads me to my first lesson learned from slow life in Italy, and that is that limited options might be a good thing. I could probably make a whole video about this because I've been thinking a lot about it, but the decision fatigue that comes when there are just so many choices all the time, there's just this constant restlessness. Both of the markets in this town are one tiny room, and I visited some supermarkets in Italy that were much larger, but even then, the choices were so much more limited than what I'm used to in America. Both the markets in this town were walking distance, and I had to go every day because that's all I could carry up and down these steep streets. You're just saying how we can't imagine if we didn't have this thing.
Okay, thank you to me.
Thank you, me. For the incline. I had to get out and walk and be in the sun and talk to people and pick up food. And I'm not an expert, but this feels like a limitation that I might welcome back home. Walking places more and only buying what I could comfortably carry more often. Next thing that I was reminded of in Italy about slow life is removing optional technology. Italians are very proud of the traditional old school ways that they make things. In our convenience culture, you'd think that we'd have so much more time in America that we wouldn't even know what to do with ourselves. But I mean, we all know the opposite's true. The more time that we gain by convenience, the more we cram into our already overfilled lives.
We're finally leaving the Cinque Terre. It was supposed to be 5, and we've been in Motorola for 13 days. But here we go, we're feeling better.
When we first got here as Americans, even for me, it was hard to get used to everything being closed from 1 to 3.
Or things just closing early or closing for no reason. Like the store could say it's open by 7, but you could show up by 5, but it's just closed because they feel like it. Maybe it's a slow day. There's no point in staying an extra 2 hours. It's a mom and pop shop. If they feel like it, they'll stay closed. And that's a shock for somebody coming over from America to see that people here aren't corporate slaves that have to absolutely abide by the, if it says 8 o'clock is when we open. And you see the guy, like I've worked in retail before, you see that guy that rushes through the door last minute to grab the last minute thing, taking his sweet ass time. And everybody there getting paid like minimum wage is like, bro, are you kidding me? We can't close up yet because the turd wants to show up at 7:59 and take his sweet ass time browsing the aisles. Yeah. They don't really work that way here in Eastern Europe. And I really do appreciate the slower pace of life. It's not that it's less productive. It's just they understand what's important. That money isn't everything. That enriching corporations and working yourself to the bone isn't the way to live. They're much more family oriented out here. And funny enough, they're much more like psychologically stable out here. They're much more humble. They're much nicer. They're more in the mood to talk. People don't always look so angry and in a rush. Complete 180 than what you see in some of your big cities in America where people are just mean mugging each other, mad as hell. I mean, you know what it's like. If you live in a big city, you know exactly what I mean.
How fast did you run? The Spanish word siesta is a time-honored tradition of Italian culture, and it actually dates back to the Roman Empire. I was researching this for this video, and it seems that Romans stopped to rest on the 6th hour, which was about 1 because they divided their time into 12-hour increments, which I think is really interesting. But maybe there is something we're missing in our modern progressive age. We go, go, go and never stop. Even on vacation, we don't rest on Sundays anymore. Other than Chick-fil-A, there are literally no stopping points, just pre-decided in our culture, and maybe we need to bring that back in. For what I'm used to, people here live in small houses and drive very, very small cars.
Tiny.
They use things and reuse.
Tiny cars, man. The alleyways in the streets here are so small and narrow. Like getting to my place, I need to do a video on that just you guys, just so you could see I'm waiting on a camera to show up. And I used to have a Ford Raptor before. Now I still have a truck in America, Toyota Tundra. It would be absolutely impossible to get a car that size through these streets. Just no. There's not enough space. And not only is there not enough space, but the country itself is just not that big. A lot of the country in Europe are not that big compared to the American counterparts. You know, it's like that wide open road where you can drive for hours. It's beautiful when you're past Texas going towards California. Like the Southwest is gorgeous. That trip from Texas over to Georgia or wherever you're going is absolutely ugly, gross, boring, flat. It barely has some hills here and there in the Appalachians, but it does not compare with the Rockies, does not compare with the Sierras, not even close. The western half of America is absolutely drop dead gorgeous, but you won't have that incredible feeling of just driving, man, straight for hours, watching the scenery change. That's not gonna happen here. You can cross a country in like 7 hours. Hell, depending on what direction you go, like I could go south, probably 2 hours. I'm in the capital of an entire different country with an entire different language, culture, and customs. Wild. And it's that way in almost every direction, which in and of itself is absolutely incredible. I guess if you love nature and you like to be alone, then America is where you'd want to be. It's beautiful and it's huge, and you could get lost for months exploring nature. Europe, the other part of Europe's beauty is they have the same diverse landscapes, a little less than America, but it's culturally rich. You can experience so many different people, food, languages, like you name it, historical buildings, history. It's just rich in history here. And, you know, so there's a trade-off with everything, but yeah, it's just crazy. Personally, I love it.
Things, they make use of old things or they do without, probably because it's pretty impossible to get anything up here. And maybe that is a simple overlooked cure for our overconsumption. Just adding some friction to make it easier to live without than to satisfy your every desire. And I mean, these little apartment homes nestled on the cliffs of land and sea, working hard in their gardens, meandering into work, coming home for a siesta, having an espresso with a friend. Maybe these people have taught me that is plenty.
Look at that water, man. That's incredible. Yeah, going out with a friend to go to a cafe that you can walk to from your place. Enjoy great moderate weather. It's not too damn hot and it's not too damn cold. Just right. No cars honking all over the place. Traffic is although there could be traffic at peak, the cars don't go that fast because, again, the roads are so narrow and it's not really designed for high-speed traffic. And so the road noise is kept at a minimum and you can actually have a conversation. It's a great change of pace. Yeah, and see, this is a problem for big cities everywhere. It's a big city problem, man. I'm starting to think from that Mouse Utopia experiment video, it's just we're not made to be in such high density housing, squished together in a small plot of land. It says, I'm Italian, and yes, in some rural and typical places, everything is as you describe. But if you go to big cities, especially in the north, we're closer to the US. But fortunately, our love for sharing food, slow living, and enjoying simple things is something we're really proud of. Thank you. As an Italian, I had the so-called American dream my whole life, hoping one day to move to the US to have success and fulfill myself. But after living 1 year in Nevada as an exchange student, my view on the States has changed drastically, starting from seeing people carrying guns in broad daylight to homeless and drug addicts in the streets. We all know that is a major problem right now. I hated the enormous Walmarts, Costco's, and Targets. They are absolutely disgusting when you come out here and you get used to shopping at mom and pop stores where they actually care about the produce or source it locally. You do not want to step foot in any giant corporate store ever again, with huge selections of mostly useless stuff, extremely unhealthy and greasy food. It seemed impossible to have something small and relatively healthy when eating out. And everything I ate seemed like an unhealthier version of others' culture food, like greasy big pizzas, extremely sweet and salty Chinese food, tacos and tortillas so bad that everyone was joking that you'd have diarrhea after eating them. Now I realize how lucky I am being born in Italy despite all my country's problems. Yeah, and that's a typical story I hear from a lot of people here that I talk to, the locals that tell me that they visited America, and I'll ask them, well, would you? And they all go with rose-tinted glasses from what Hollywood shows. Unfortunately, that's America's reputation around the world. Hollywood, music videos, that's the culture we're exporting, the identity of America. And then living in America and seeing the day-to-day and what it's really like on the streets, absolute culture shock. It's absolutely nothing like what you see in the movies. You're not going to go down Hollywood Boulevard or do the Walk of Fame with your girlfriend holding hands with the perfect sunset. Nope, there goes polluted skies. Nope, there goes cars honking all the time. Oh, there's a homeless person or two. Oh, there's a ton of homeless tents right there. Got to go around. Oh no, there's more homeless tents on the other side of the street. Never mind, I guess. Oh yeah, that guy's pooping in the corner. Yeah, that's normal. Welcome to California. Yeah. Out of control, man. I'm an American who moved to the UK in 2006 and now moving to Italy have bought a house in Puglia. I appreciate and adopted the work-life balance, slow pace, and quality over quantity lifestyle. Yeah, there's probably similar stories all over this. So yeah, this channel is Madison Gray, what I think about the US after a month in Italy. Hey everyone, if you have a minute, please head over to legionofmen.store and grab yourself some cool merch as well. We have a bunch of limited edition designs, brand new stuff on the way, and all the proceeds go to supporting the channel. We don't want to be sponsored by corporations where we have to submit videos for review, have our speech impeded, or push any products that we don't use. So thank you so much to everybody that goes into the shop. Again, it's legionofmen.store. I'll put it up here for you guys. First time customers get a 10% off, and we have a bunch of great designs by artists from the community that watch the channel and support. They get proceeds as well, a percentage of everything that gets sold. So community funded through and through. Again, appreciate you guys.